Shalom, Yashala, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High Yahweh. I do so in the name of His only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Yasharallah. Kol Haloyim La Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai Bahashem Harakah Kodash for blessing our elders with the spirit of truth so that we may know. Shout out to the Akim and the Aqua that's keeping the faith and the work. Shall keep at it. That's your brother Abai coming at you with more precepts. It's the book of 2 Thessalonians, chapter 2, and verse 3. All right, the classics. Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition. All right. This video I'm about to show you is an oldie, but a goodie, man. All right. If I'm not mistaken, I recall seeing this particular video around about the time when I first woke up to this knowledge a few years back, and it's real deal damaging, man. Their own people bring out the truth about who they are because it's about finding truth, like period. Right, seeing through lies and finding truth and standing on truth. Right, Scripture tells us that the Most High's people were scattered amongst all nations around the four corners of the earth. So we everywhere. This particular individual is one of the small hats. His name is Rabbi Harry Rosenberg. I don't know, man could possibly be a real Israelite. I don't know. That'll be something for Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shah to reveal. But as far as the information that he bringing out, yeah, that's the truth, man. Right? And if I'm not mistaken, he was off on something. I think it was about some tribes in Africa or something like that. I could be wrong. It's been a long time since I saw this video. But I do recall him bringing out the truth about, so-called blacks in the daughter of Babylon, which is America. Right? So without further ado, man, I'm going to let this video play and I'll be back.
And I'd like to now bring up another interesting place that you're finding descendants of the Israelites, but may not necessarily be from the 10 tribes, but will also play a role. And shouldn't be overlooked. It's a very serious scenario. Is in Africa. Africa has perhaps hundreds of millions of people with this identity right now of being from the people of Israel. Does that mean they were from the 10 tribes? Likely not. We were taught by the historians and within our own traditions that when the Romans conquered Judea a few hundred years after that the tribes of Israel went into exile, perhaps millions of Judeans were sold into slavery, into Africa, into Rome, deep into Africa. And if you look now, you're seeing people who are most likely the descendants of those slaves who kept true. I'd like to bring up a few specific examples because they're going to be game changers. One of them wrote letters to Israel when it became a state. And they said, we're Israelites out in Africa. Everyone laughed at them and they said, African Israelites, these people are just trying to jump on the first world country bandwagon. They're living in a third world country. They got nothing. We're coming to Israel. We got innovation, technology. So they're trying to get on this train because there's such a thing called the right of return. All descendants of the Jewish people from around the world are able to move to Israel. So they said we are also. And everyone kind of laughed at them, like I said. And a few people took it serious and went out there and started studying them, learned about their culture. And a professor from Duke University went out there and did DNA testing on them. And he showed not only do they share Semitic genes from people who were in Yemen and back to the Middle East, these gentlemen, a large percent of them, have the Y chromosome to be Kohanim, to be priests. Now, if anyone who doesn't know, a priest is a specific family clan of the nation of Israel who come from Aaron, the brother of Moses, who was the first priest. And anyone descended from Aaron has the status title priest. And we found that these men in this village in South Africa called Lemba, Lemba, carry this genetic marker to let us know that they share the same as from the Sephardic and the Ashkenaz and the population of the people in Israel today. They share the same exact DNA marker. That's mind-blowing. So,
right there it is. That's the off part, right? Buddy saying they share the same DNA as Ashkenaz. If you go back into even the phrase Ashkenaz, ain't got nothing to do with being an Israelite, right? Let me see. Right, so I'm gonna go to Genesis chapter 10, verse 2. It says the sons of Japheth, Gomer, Magog, and Madai, and Javan, and Tubal, and Meshach, and Tyrus, and the sons of Gomer, Ashkenaz, and Riphath, and Togarmah. Right, so just that phrase alone is off. So if he's saying that these individuals are connected DNA wise, which DNA on some whole other nonsense in itself, right? By that name, then it's off, right? But I'm gonna let him finish up.
everyone kind of got humbled a little bit, who laughed at them and said, now what? Now what do we do about this? This could have tremendous implications. Another area in Africa you have something big happening is in Nigeria. You have the Igbo people, or Igbo, pronounced either way. There's 40 million of them, also Christians, like I spoke about before, how that could happen to the children of Israel very easily. But also a lot of them are now coming out and converting back or adopting the rules of the Torah without all the paganism that they've been practicing for hundreds of years. There's been books written about it from scholars in Nigeria, from scholars from the Jewish people. And where it gets interesting is, in America, there was a slave trade. And a lot of the slaves, a very high percentage of them, came from Western Nigerian ports. And in America today, you see a very large movement of African Americans who say that they're the real chosen people, that they're the children of Israel, they're the Judeans. You know, so what are they just trying to create an identity for themselves because they were slaves, or is there really something here? And the answer is, most likely there is something there.
So if you hear like noises in the background of this man's conference room, he's in a conference room full of small hats, and he's bringing out this information, and they getting pissed about it because they don't want him to continue on. Look at his face while he's bringing it out, right? They really want him to shut the hell up, but he's not going to do that. He's going to keep on speaking, so.
And most likely, maybe that they were the original Israelites, and maybe that the Jewish people today, who are white, Caucasian people, came in a little bit later on. We know that some of the greatest sages of the transmission of the Torah were converts from Rome. You have a man named Onkelos who wrote a commentary on the Torah, unprecedented, that we still learn today. He was a convert. Some of the largest pillars on the transmission today were Roman converts. So here we are, we're Caucasian Jewish people, and now you have people in Africa saying that they're the real people of Israel. It can't be ruled out at all.
Yeah, no, it can't be ruled out because it's the truth. Right? Notice what he said about the Igbo or the Igbos and the so-called blacks in America, which is the daughter of Babylon. DNA wasn't involved in that at all. Had everything to do with prophecy. Had everything to do with them worshiping pagan gods and coming back to doing what they were supposed to be doing from the jump, which is worshiping Yahweh Shem Yahushua, or how he put it, following the Torah, Right. As far as so-called blacks of America, he didn't say anything about DNA to that either. He connected that to West Africa and connected that to the actual slave trade. Right, which is what you can find in Deuteronomy 28:68. Had nothing to do with DNA, had everything to do with prophecy. Right? This is the book of Job. Let me see. Job chapter 14 and verse 5. It says, seeing his days, actually, let me start at verse 4. It says, who can bring a clean thing out of an unclean? Not one. Right, so you heard the chairs moving, right, doors closing, so forth and so on. That's because they didn't want that man to speak. It's because them niggas is the wicked. Right? And you can't make that clean. Right? And they do control damn near everything. Right? On a major scale, everything. Right? But they the wicked, and you can't change that. It is what it is. That's how the Most High created them to be. And it's all for a purpose. Right? It says in Job 14:5, seeing his days are determined, the number of his months are with thee. Thou hast appointed his bounds that he cannot pass. Right? This devil was set up for a time, and that time was not meant to be forever and ever, even forever. That's handed to the kingdom of Yahweh Shem Shai. It's the book of Ecclesiastes chapter 3 and verse 1. It says, to everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under the heaven. These devils had a time, and it was for a season, right? And that time is up, right? Verse 6 says a time to get. Job 9:24 says the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. So the Most High gave it to them, so they got the world and ran the world and continue to run the world even to this day. And in fact, according to Job's, 2nd Ezra 6:9, they will be running this earth in the end times, right? Right before the kingdom of heaven. Right, but Ecclesiastes 3:6, a time to get and a time to lose, a time to keep and a time to cast away. Right, and that time for them to lose, hey, they coming up on that. Right, this is one of the first steps. They had to be revealed. Right, can't be in hiding no more, so it can clearly be seen who the wicked are. Right, for those that have eyes to see and ears to hear, and eventually the whole earth gonna see it. Right, let me see. This is Isaiah chapter 14 and verse 12. It says, how art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? Right? Now, I know a lot of Christians will read that and be like, they're talking about the spiritual angel, Satan, because they think Satan, Lucifer, and the devil all are the same beings and the same entities, but they're not. Right? Lucifer means illuminated one. Satan means adversary. Devil means false accuser. Right? They are not the same. Right? So this individual that is called Lucifer, how art thou fallen from heaven? How art thou fallen from thy high place, from ruling the nations? Right? It says, how art thou cut down to the ground? How you brought low? I don't prove that, right? In the same book, same chapter, different verse. Let me see. Matter of fact, let me just keep on reading. Verse 13, it says, for thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of power. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. Now, to address the stars of the Most High, Revelation chapter 12 and verse 1. And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. And she being with child cried, travailing in birth and pain to be delivered. Right? That's speaking about those 12 stars are the 12 tribes. Right? And I'm going to drop down to verse 5. It says, and she brought forth a man child who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron. And her child was caught up unto power and to his throne. That's Yahushua. Right? Those stars represent Israel. Going back to Isaiah 14. And let me see. Verse 13, it says, for thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven, I will exalt my throne above the stars. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. Going back to 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 and verse 4. Right, we already read verse 3, where that man of sin had to be revealed, the son of perdition. Says, who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called God or that is worshipped, so that he as God sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. Right? The devil, man, the deceiver. Right? Going back to Isaiah 14. And to explain that Lucifer is a man. All right. Let's see. That should be done. Children. Where is that? So I'm gonna just read on down. All right, so I'm at Isaiah 14:14. Here's verse 15. Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit. They that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee and consider thee, saying, is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake kingdoms, that made the world as a wilderness and destroyed the cities thereof, that opened not the house of the prisoners, of his prisoners? All right. Is this the man that bombed the brakes off all of these places and destroyed wilderness or forests and trees and made everything just desolate? Because he's the son of perdition. Perdition means destruction. And Yahweh said that individual is going to be brought low. Right? In fact, that individual shall be brought down to hell. And I've explained what hell is before, but I have no problem doing it again. This is the book of Isaiah. Let me see. Let me see. I think it's chapter 5. All right. Isaiah chapter 5 and verse 13. Therefore, my people are gone into captivity because they have no knowledge, and their honorable men are famished, and their multitude dried up with thirst. Therefore, hell hath enlarged herself, and opened her mouth without measure, and their glory and their multitude and their pomp, and he that rejoices shall descend into it. So we in hell right now because we're in the devil's kingdom. And this devil has knowledge, but it's on the left-hand side. It's wickedness. This devil knows all about wickedness, witchcraft, and curses, and so forth and so on. Right? This devil knows all about being deceitful, taking people's minds away and replacing it with something that he wants. Right? And we just read in Isaiah 14, the devil will be cast into this hell. So that means that the devil is going to go into captivity, and all that left-hand knowledge that the Most High allow him to have to rule this earth, right, in deceit, it will be taken away. So he won't have that knowledge anymore, right? Their honorable men, which is basically their rulers, won't have that knowledge, so they won't be ruling. And the multitude of their people will be dried up from that pride that they had held high. Like if you just walk outside of your abode and you just pay attention to the world, it's a certain something inside of these individuals from high level to low that makes them seem as though they just above it all. And the Most High gonna take all of that away once the kingdom of heaven is established on this earth, right? And it's time, right? And go to the book of First Peter, and I'll end with this. First Peter, chapter 4 and verse 7. But the end of all things is at hand. Be ye therefore sober and watch unto prayer. Right, like we just read in the book of 2 Thessalonians. The end won't come until, right, that son of perdition be revealed, and he's being revealed, not just by the men of the Lord, but also by other people in the world. Other heathens are revealing this devil because these heathens really did believe the lies of the devil, right? But at the end of the day, everything done in the dark will come to light. Best believe that. And so with that, Yahweh Shema Sharat these precepts in this video were edifying. Call Haloyim La Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai Bahashem Harakah Kodash Shalom Yashallah.